Okay, so we are going to talk about video 3.
Video 3,
Yeah.
standards 4 and 5.
Yes.
Okie dokes.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go first about how I feel about the lesson.
Sure.
So I think overall the lesson went pretty well. It was a pretty effective lesson, I thought, in preparing the students for the role play. There are things that I think I could have done better. But let me first go through the ones that I feel happy about.
Right.
So I developed metacognitions by communicating the learning objectives prior to the lesson. Develop communicating or informing the students the cross-lesson connections and build connections between students' real life and the lesson. I also used an authentic material, which is like a real train timetable for the scanning skills. Yeah, and the scenario for the mingling activity was also close to their real life, which is the setting of the school, essentially. I varied the instructions. I gave them plenty of opportunities to like work individually, work in pairs, within group, and mingle. I also provide scaffolds and supports. I make sure that the lesson progress logically in terms of complexity. I also provide the students the skills and knowledge they need before giving them the task so that they can do the task successfully. I also provided language frames and prompts. And I use varied educational tools to ensure mastery of content, like train timetables, scenario cards, mini whiteboards, and I also allow the students to use smartphone to help them with finding.
With the
conversion
rates,
yeah. In that conversion rate, though, I have some idea was how to improve it next time, or I want to change it next time. So okay, so now the things that I want to improve or do differently next time.
Okay.
I think I could have done a better job at the conversion, the currency conversion. I think I wasn't very happy about how I monitored the students or check. I think I didn't make sure that everyone can convert the currency because they essentially do it as a group, and I just check with groups.
Right.
So that's my note.
Right. Okay. So just pause quickly on that.
Yeah.
From that one, you specifically your instruction was for someone in the group to do it, and then they call out as soon as they've got it, right?
Yes.
In the group. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So if you clean that up a little bit, because I've got a comment on the group one, but we could just discuss it very briefly quickly now.
Yes.
If you're saying in the group, then how would you do that in the future so that you guarantee participation of everybody? Because I guess that's what you're talking about, right? So that there's more universal contribution.
Yeah.
So how would you do it?
I think well, some ideas to do it is like different questions can be answered by different students in that group. Like, okay, so this time we are converting some bahts into 10 euros. So that's gonna be student A in the group. And then the next question would be student B in the group, which is converting baht to like dollars.
You're right. Okay. Oh, that could be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you mean? Like, because if you did the same product, like almost like a speed test in the group, then be like, how much of these apples it's in dong right now, and then get it in all these, and then you show the answer, and then they all participated.
Yeah.
That could be cool. Yeah. Yeah. Because then essentially, like, let's say our group here of four people, if I didn't know how to do it because it's kind of a speed activity or team activity, I would speak to you, I guess, either in L1 or L2, like, what do I need to do? And then somebody else will tell, because it's a functional tool that they have. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah. Also, another scenario that I want to try next time is I think I would tell them, like, for example, okay, imagine you are at Super Rich right now. You have some bahts and you want to convert it into like 100 euros. How much will you have to pay? Something like that. And then I also want them to kind of compare different currency
rates
exchange, and then find which one has better rates.
For the critical thinking, that's cool. So I guess with all your stations set up, that you could just set up another station of like a currency exchange, because that's cool as well, right? Because it's super easy to do real because you could just put Super Reach or K Bank or whichever. That could have worked cool. Yeah, because it wouldn't take like too long. It's like a 5-minute. Yeah.
And we can use like a real currency exchange rate.
I think that would have like I already thought this lesson was strong with like the things that you brought into it to make it come alive essentially. But that could have been cool. Like it would have added like some essential color to it as well. Yeah. It's a cool one. Yeah, that's a nice reflection. Anything else?
I think my biggest areas of improvement in this particular standards is I think I haven't done very good job, especially with this lesson, in promoting students' independent inquiry. So I can do that by improving, like, introducing the comparing different rates, for example, and then getting them to do research. Maybe like, okay, do research on what are the most important traveling skills, and then they're going to discuss what they have found as a group, and then as a group they have to come up with like top 5 list.
Okay.
In this process of determining like top 5 lists, they have to do justifications and
right, and argue it out which one. So sorry. So step 1 would be I'll make my own list, and then there's a group discussion afterwards. Okay. Cool. That would be actually nice to see how they are, like teenager standpoint of view. That would be cool. So if every group got their top 5 as well. And they can compare it. Then they can compare, because then you could even like, depending on how much time is for the lesson or which stage is more important, how quickly you got there for like a really high performing class, you could put like as a flexi stage in there that they could even further refine it across groups. So they could either they don't even have to talk to the other groups. Like now talk to your group. Do you want to take anything from the other groups as well, right? So to reflect on the other students on the class. That could be a cool stage for student inquiry and critical thinking. Higher order thinking. Good. Do you have anything else? That's it. Okay. So I think that it's two good points that you make, because essentially it's the stage so that there's whole student involvement in the currency exchange, and then maybe an activity to give them the opportunity to practice that skill quickly. And then obviously the task that we just talked about now. Good points, both of them. I think it would have polished off the lesson even more, even though I think it was a strong lesson because you had a lot of content matter, obviously, to cover. It's always that balance of how much content am I going to give them to because those things are essentially, I think we've discussed it before, but it's like sub skills that's necessary to experiment with the language. Okay, so I'll go with my notes quickly. I'll go with So with standard 4, so from my point, the thing that you opened with, I kind of have the same, I guess, just worded a little bit differently, but that your lesson plan and your actual delivery, it demonstrates like all the tools of inquiry, how you set it up, and how you gave them the opportunity to practice those tools as well.
Yeah.
And you did it in a real world. So I've noted in here, because obviously it's a big thing, you did it in a real world setting as well, where they practiced it. And then there's also a clear differentiation like between each skill. They're really apparent, like when the one stops and when the other one starts, and then it's connected. Yeah.
It's wise transition or clear transition is so important.
I think for myself anyway, how I understand it, just for chunking, that you can see, okay, we are learning a new thing here now, purely based on like, I mean, if it's an entirely different thing, like, okay, kind of bringing them back, focusing up now, so that you chunk that thing together. I think that's where the whole thing come back to. You need to connect your learning as well. Yeah, that's my point on it anyway. Otherwise, I think I'm saying otherwise, but I think the other thing that could be a problem if there's no clear transition from one stage to another is, I'm not going to say as young students, I think as human beings, we're prone to get off task by anything, right? So I think just clear transition as well. It's like if you maybe tailed off, but like you could still be called back in. But quickly on another note on that is your linking of, in that last one, in the functional language, your linking of the functional language and of the tools of inquiry is really apparent. It's not just, that you have a metacognitive list on your board. It's like there's always something to it. Like you'll ask the students a reflective question, because I can't exactly remember what it was, but it was in the opening of this lesson. You posed a question and then the students answered it. Whether they looked at the metacognitive list or whether they came by the answer themselves, they got to your first point. And then you took the magnet, and it was almost like it was this like click that happened with the sound of the magnet, like, okay, next stage, right? So it's like they clicked into that, which is really nice, because if your students are in that routine of we're doing this now, but we're doing this because, right? They learn to think about learning, which is what metacognitive thinking is, right?
I think so.
Thinking about learning.
It also allows them to kind of strategize when they can see it on the board. Like, okay, next I will need to do this one. So this is what I'm gonna need to learn now.
Right. Yeah. It gives them control as well. By what you said. Yeah. I've read somewhere as well that if you do make use of a metacognitive list and your students are in the routine of that, it lowers classroom anxiety as well, because they are in control and they know what's going to happen in this lesson.
Exactly.
Okay, so then the engagement and inquiry, I think I told you right after this lesson, I was amazed by the amount of effort you put into the lesson, like schedules you prepared, things you put up on the wall. It was really amazing. Like it was fun for me, even from an observing point of view. Like I don't know if I walked in front of the camera at any stage, but I was also looking at the schedule because the kids were laughing, right? And they were having fun with those schedules. So I mean, I don't really have to tell you that it's apparent that the students were invested in it. And it's the small things as well, like the names of the scheduling and stuff like that, to get them invested. So yeah, that's why I said your comment about the exchange.
Yeah.
It polishes it up more of student inquiry to give it like that little extra sprinkle dust almost to make it super. But I think there's enough like student interaction in there to already be of a high level. But that's brilliant if it's from yourself, that how I can make this better, because the lesson can always, not be better, but be improved for the next time around.
Right.
I
think I have a question.
Yeah.
Like our understanding of higher order thinking and like critical thinking and stuff like that can be different, right? And of course it's good to know like different perspective on it. So I feel like in these lessons I didn't do a very good job. Like I wouldn't rate myself as outstanding in this lesson, to be honest. It's probably proficient, especially in relation to Star 4 and 5. But I was wondering like how did this lesson like serve the students higher order thinking?
Well, here's the thing, right? If we look at the things that you wanted to do in this lesson, right? So it was some functional language of how do you ask polite questions, right? The others was scanning skill of important information and conversion.
Yes.
So if you just look at those three things, on paper, they could be pretty mundane. Let's talk about polite language, right?
Right.
But and the same goes for the other two. Like, let's do conversion. Like, oh, teacher, we're going to do like math now or what? You found a way to integrate all those into your class and make it fun, right? Which is a very important component. So how they had to go and find their schedules and teach each other, like a lot of them had to help each other.
Yeah.
Like obviously I could probably notice from an observing point of view, but there's a lot of them that and then their friends went, no, this is where you find that thing. And then they started realizing, and the stage started moving a little bit faster. So that's one point I'd like to make. The other one that you're making is of a higher order thinking skill is, I would say it's what you're thinking of is like how could they take all that information and apply it independently, right? But I think that's outside of the scope of this lesson. Like it's so many stages down the line because they first need to practice those things, right?
Right.
And I think your lesson nailed that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to look here quickly. So standard for, because you're saying you put yourself proficient, right? Mostly,
I think for 4.1, I might have done a pretty good job on that, but for the rest, like 4.2 and then
okay, so yeah.
Yeah, something is missing. Like one or two things is just missing.
Okay. So well, here's the thing, right? And I think this is this 4.1 and 4.2. So with the technological tools, I think you're okay. Learn the content at high levels. You could look at that. Within and beyond the content area, I think you ticked off.
Right.
Because they applied literally everything to like either tourism or traveling perspective, which is that like what is the word? Cross-discipline.
Cross-disciplinary, right. Yeah.
So the gaps in the subject knowledge, that could be highlighted by your point that you made. I've got one on the polite language that I'm going to tell you now, but then you highlighted the one in the exchange. So if you did that and adapted it to your next lesson, I think that would be great because it serves as deeper understanding of the knowledge that they get to work with it, and there's some peer work on it as well.
Yes.
And it states here, like, right, if the candidate also redesigns the lesson to correct misconceptions when applicable. Right. So, yeah.
Right.
The one that I mentioned about the polite language, right? So you had some examples on the board, or on the TV, sorry, that came up, and it was like A, B, or C, which one is the polite one, right? So naturally, the strongest ability students in the class are going to answer that, right? So they answered it, and like Alex got a couple, student got a couple, and student here tried a couple, right? You tell me your understanding of it, but do you think you need to get them, either them or yourself, get them to clarify why that one is the polite one?
Yeah, I think so. And also to take it further, I can help them to make a comparison between like how the polite form of Thai differ
That's a good
from
one, yeah.
the polite form of
Yeah,
English.
yeah. Because that ties into the gaps of the subject knowledge. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Between the L1, L2 comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect actually. You could just work on like highlight kind of which word makes it polite and like what do you guys have this as in Thai or something.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, but that's the only things like I don't know I don't know if you need to tick like literally everything. I think it's the majority of things in here to score that. But there's so many things in here that you do tick, like the technological tools and resources. For the majority of your tasks, they learn it at a high level, multiple opportunities. They've had an opportunity at every stage and a final task coming up within and beyond the content areas. So, I mean, they're doing it in the English classroom, but they're also doing it in a sense of traveling.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's kind of a case of the things that we got is like a serious like nitpick of how we could make this lesson even better, right?
Yeah.
So, and I do agree with that. That would make the lesson excellent and give like the students some time to do self-inquiry
Yeah.
with the content.
Gives
But
extra.
yeah, but I think there's enough in there to take it to outstanding. Because if this isn't outstanding, I would like to see an outstanding lesson. I
Yeah.
would say that, yeah. Okay, so but we'll talk about that later. And it's so here's one of the points that I made. The functional language requirements pointed out, and then it's not only that you make them aware of. So the one I'm pointing that I'm referring to is the whiteboard activity to the start of the lesson. So functional language requirements is pointed out by yourself or just highlighted, sorry, and then it's observed for its presence. And then if I remember correctly, it's this group over here that there was still some struggles or misconception about it.
Yes.
And then you clarified it afterwards.
Yes.
And in my eyes, that is a perfect lesson stage because you've given the students the opportunity to experiment with the language. It's at that level where students can manage it. There's students who could not properly interact with it, and then you clarified it afterwards. So there was immediate feedback as well. Then the other thing that was that I made a note of, and I think this is, let me just see, this is standard 4, standard 5 that I have here. Okay, so this is a standard 4 note that I made. So when you introduce the scanning and the importance of it, it's not just, okay, now we're going to do scanning. You got student-led interaction there by them pointing out why it's an important skill.
Yeah.
Right? I thought maybe here was another opportunity where, only the strongest students are probably going to point this out. Maybe just like a 1-minute discussion quickly, talk in your group. Why is it important?
Right.
Either in the L1 or L2, because it's a foreign or higher order thinking skill to talk about.
Right.
So they can just speak about what it is, and then somebody in the group tells them. Because, for example, like I think the boy was sitting either here or here, the one that said it.
For the functional language?
Yeah, no, the one that said why is scanning skills important?
Paul, yeah.
Yeah. So he said it to you, but there's always the chance that the one in the corner might not even have heard what he said, or the rest of the group doesn't even understand what he's talking about. So if they did a quick group reflection, there might be even more answers,
Right.
and then they have more ownership about the content as well.
Right. Yeah.
So literally, yeah, just a 1 minute discussion in the group.
Yeah, just to double check.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, quickly before I forgot, actually,
Yes.
right off the bat in that class, something right after your first video,
Yes.
the baseline video,
Yes.
I asked you what happens when a student does this, right? Because it's always interesting to me what happens in those situations, and then it happened at this time, and it's exactly like you said in that time, like a very low level. You just say like, these things happen. She said she doesn't want to talk about it. Life goes on, type of thing.
Yeah, I just want them to kind of like, I was thinking about it the other day. Maslow hierarchy, the hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
If we think about it, education is like pretty higher up. So in order for somebody to be able to do this need, to fulfill this needs, we need to fulfill like the previous needs.
Yeah.
And checking in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me see if I have anything else here quickly. That one. Yeah, I think that's all my notes that I have read. So with your conversion,
Yes.
what is the function of that task? Like, why do you want them to do that tool of inquiry? Why is it important?
Well, because when they are traveling, it is important for them to calculate how much, to calculate their budget and what it translates to, how much they can spend later on in the country that they're going to. So, because later in the to help them understand that concept, in the role play, I got them to go to the market, and I told them that they spent all the money already they exchanged earlier, and they only have 3,000 baht left. They want to buy souvenirs for their friends and family, so they can go to the market. I show them like how much the price of different things are in different like currency.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it has a function later on in the lesson.
Yes.
Okie dokes, cool.
Yes.
Um,
in the beginning and in the end.
Okay. All right, that sorts that out. Let me just see if I have any last. Yeah, here I also made the note like your lesson runs in a logical order. Introduce skills, student-led explanation, clear practice stages. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yay.
Yeah.